Everybody, welcome to the Thames Community Board meeting. We've got just about a full complement of board because we've got one member on who's away and it's on Zoom. So we have all 7 members here today, and we'll look forward to the comments from the public forum and see what we have to say, and we look forward to an invigorating discussion later on item 2.1. So welcome everybody to that. I'm just going to declare the meeting open, and I'm going to call upon Councillor Martin Rodley to say the Karakia please. Those who wish to stand, those who wish to remain seated.
So this is the Thames Community Board Karakia, which is gifted to the Thames Community Board by Wati Namini of Ngāti Maruf. E ngā tohu o mātua atua. O te rangi o te whenua, e aratika I e matua I ne take I whiriwhiri I e tēnei whā. I raro anō I te aro o Ranganui ki ranga o Papatanuku e te koutu nei. Whakamai ia tēnei. Umie, uie.
Amen. Thank you, Councillor. Do we have any apologies, please, and or leave of absence, please? No apologies, no leave of absence. Excellent. We just move into our public forum, and we have 3 speakers today in our public forum. The first speaker today is Mr. McLean, please. Now you can go up to the front. There. Just hold on. Most of you got enough back to your house. Yes. And you can sit or stand whichever you prefer. Right one around there. And that one there so we can all see and eyeball you. Okay.
Pui te rita au ki hara kiki, kei whetoko mako I ko, ki mai koe ki a hau, he aha te mea nui o te au, maku ki atu, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata, he ana te putia. Okay, my name is David McLean, also known as Jock. I've been Thamesite here for many years, and my family's been here for 5 generations. My grandfather was the head of Tararoo Mines, and the gym is named after my uncle Jack, famous All Black and rugby league player. The subject I'm here to talk to you today is in particular is about Ford from the Waitangi Valley between the Ford and the bridge. It was formerly known as Merritt's Quarry Road or Waitangi Creek Road. It's a famous mining area with many mine shafts, and I'd like to explain that a shaft runs this way and a drive runs that way. They do not meet, because if they do, there would be different layers. It's a way that they work. But anyway, I'll take a seat now because I've got sore legs. I became a resident of Rakestown nearly 30 years ago when I purchased number 30 on the 24th of 2nd, 94, and I've lived there and paid rates ever since. When I purchased the property, the zoning was Rural C, and the property was a well-established drive, which was shared with my 2 neighbours. Excuse me, catch one. I'm at the time being my cousin Brian and Myra Sanders, who lived directly beside me. This property was also my grandfather's on my mother's side, the Sanders in previous times. They were in the process of building a new house at the time. Sometime later in 1998, from what I've discovered, the zoning changed from Rural C to low volume residential, which to date no services have changed. The Sanders later put the house on the market and had to get the drilling signed off. An inspector came. From my understanding, 8 things needed to be done, which included painting of the bath floor, skirting from the bottom of the house, stormwater, and a couple of other things. The painting and other easy, obvious jobs were undertaken by the son-in-law. The inspector came back to check. Much to my surprise, and watched him stand on the front lawn at the barge boards, the skirting, inspected the barge boards, the skirting, and signed it off. That was the final inspection. She jumped in this vehicle and drove off. Needless to say, the stormwater has been an issue ever since, with it running down the drive and washing off the metal. which is one of the contentions we have. I'd like to address it as here. Ever since then, the changing of the zoning, we have tried to get some clarification from council as to where the responsibilities of the individual landowners' stormwater responsibilities start and stop. As in the town, they tend to stop at the boundary, and also regarding to the access for which my neighbour, present neighbour, the McCarthy's, have been told is access, being told the access council road. And some of the maps you look, that's very confusing, and even the maps that are on council website are totally wrong. My property is defined with 4,000 square metres in the title, and it's a view 2,000 on the council maps. We then move forward to 2017, where the current neighbour who we share access, there's also been 3 owners to the immediate neighbour since the Sanders, made me aware of a hole which had developed beside the drive on Council Road Reserve, but by our letterboxes. On initial investigation, it appeared to be a puddle. However, a spade was put in and was determined that the hole was approximately 1.5 metres deep and 2 metres square off to the side of the concrete drive on Council Road Reserve, on the hillside, not the roadside. Council were made aware of this. Conveyance between the parties started. This is contained in the numerous emails which is attached to this email I've sent to you guys through there from 2017, 2020 and 2023. The councils, its consultants, its engineers and its contractors came and inspected the hole. They then pumped the water out of the hole. There was no sign of where the debris from the hole had gone. It was revealed that the hole was off to the side of the drive, road reserve, and was undermined the concrete drive by approximately 200. Right? The council, in its infinite wisdom, decided to cut the concrete out of the drive another 604.8 metres, taking away a major portion of our turn circuit into the drive and open the hole up. Keeping in mind that the original hole was only 2 metres square, 5 metres is now and now approximately 5 metres square, and only undermined the driveway by 200. Liability was discussed and debated. Council then filled in the hole with aggregate and reinstating the concrete drive. It was suggested prior to that the drain be put in to alleviate the stormwater come down a natural causeway of dockland and expected to run it uphill into a drain further up the road. This fix lasted approximately 3 years when the hole started to appear again in 2020. The concrete started to collapse, firstly dropping a couple of inches, then breaking in half and then falling off to the side of the drive. This was then realised the concrete had no reinforcing in it and was not tied into the existing concrete drive. Council once again came to remedy this. However, the time of the council engineer, whose name eludes me, said it wasn't council's problem, then continued to brag on how he'd been to court with other ratepayers and won. This still does not faze me as I'm an advocate and work with them against the multi-billion-dollar corporation regularly, ACC. What does bother me is the fact that we were so cocky, for want of a better word, about it and commented the problem was being what would be on the ratepayer, regardless of the outcome, and not on him, something I find typical of people to hold these positions. The work was carried out by council contractors once again. The collapse concrete was removed and the hole was once again filled with aggregate. No pipe was which was again suggested, and then the concrete drive reinstated, this time with a bit of a curb to try and get the water to run up the road to the drain. We then come to January 2023, the concrete drive was slumping again and the concrete had cracked. Meanwhile, the drains from the ford to the bridge were consistently blocked. The contractors who come and do an effort job. It was and is disgraceful. If I had contracted them, they would have not been paid until the job was done properly. They dug the silt enough for a small channel of water to run through for a short time. Council was made aware of this and arguments ensued between myself and other concerned ratepayers and its representatives. I doubt whether they even checked, and when I did see an engineer consultant up there and showed him the problem with the cleaning, he agreed, and that was from Pinnacles. When I ran into the guy from Pinnacles up there.
You've got 1 minute.
Okay, so I'm getting finished. There's evidence emails randomly attached. The video shows how ridiculous it is. The council rep seemed to disagree on no matter what evidence was presented to him and how it is continued. For further repeated subsidence of the hole, which is believed to be an old mine shaft, for which a supposed investigation was being done, but we've never heard back. that was once again appeared on Council Road Reserve next to the drive and undermined our driveway. Originally 200 by 2 metres, nearly 800 by 4.8. With the metal falling into the hole made bigger by council. Numerous emails have been sent, all met with opposition and denial and of any responsibility for the council rep. We supposedly visited the site without even left effective. Now we've got time to show these pictures, Adrian, or is that different to this time?
No, just working on a computer because I just lost.
Okay, so with the pictures, look, it showed that one of the representatives come up and took photos, said a visitor to the site, never contacted us, took photos. But if you look at properly at the photo, you'll see he's never got out of his car because you can see the picture of it, all in his car there. And it shows the photo looking up the drive, and all it shows is the 2 cones that we have stated to warn people that there's a big drop off into the abyss. Okay. Now, if you actually got out of the car and actually looked into the hole, which is what these videos show, you'd actually see that the hole started off to the drive and the metal's falling inwards into the hole, which is, if you've got a straight edge like this, the hole is on this side, of course it's going to slump like that into the hole. But I can say once again, it's been taken back 600 to 800, where the undermining of the driveway was only originally 200. Okay. And now it's been put on us as a responsibility. We've been told to go to our insurers, which we have done, and the insurers have told us that it's not their responsibility, it's that of the council because it is on council land. And I do not understand why we are responsible for something that's not on our land, that's undoubtedly on council road reserve. And where does our responsibility start and stop? And I haven't come here to do that.
You're now in your 5-minute presentation period. So I'm going to ask board members if they wish to ask points of clarification to you. Any board member wish to clarify anything?
So, I mean, considering this has been going on for how many?
2017. Right.
And the way that it's been handled so far hasn't been working. What would you see as a way forward?
Well, in the beginning, we suggested to put a pipe in to alleviate the water. It was I'm not an engineer, but from living there and watching the water come down, well, there's 2 things. One is clean the drains properly, and proper contractor to clean the drains properly. Because the water, and I can show you the video, runs from up the road, down past the drain that's blocked because they don't clear the silt out of the drain. Then further down up into the hole, which where the water's coming off the dock land, it's expected to run uphill into this other drain. And it's met like the videos, it's undeniable.
Mr. McLean, we're running now for the thing. You want to see the video?
Yeah, well, no, I was more sort of thinking.
Well, the video explains it all because
So here we go. So you explain to us, John, because you're Mr. McLean.
This is the hole here. I don't know if you can make it see. The hole is up here. That's the hole in the driveway. This is where the water is expected to run down this way here. And also what you saw before is the water coming down the road. It's now running across the road and it's eating out the side of the road over here. Now, if you look, you see it's running. So the water, if we can go back a bit further to about here. Yeah, you can see it's just at the Waitakere Road, right? Now there's a drain here, I think.
Yes.
Well, it's where that puddle is.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a drain here.
Yeah.
But the drain was blocked. It has been blocked for weeks. If you look at the emails, I've tried to tell them the drains are blocked. They haven't been cleared. So the water's running down past the drain and further. I think the drain's here. There's actually a green marker that doesn't appear to be in there at this stage. That comes down. If we keep that, I think it'll move forward a bit. All right. And then it comes down and into where this water's coming out. And this meets here and then runs down across and through the road. So here's the whole bit. So I've got these photos of it as well.
So for the rest of the board, where that cone is, that orange cone is approximately where the hole is.
Yeah, the whole, there's photos of the whole, I've sent you through as well. See those cones here, see those two cones here, the driveway is approximately, well,
Yes, to get in the right spot. Yeah.
so as we do the turn circle, the drive's point there and point there, which has been cut out this much. That point, from that point to that point, the two cones between there is 4.8 metres, between here is between 600 and 800. The hole is actually over here on the outside of the driveway and it undermined originally concrete drive of 200.
Just to ask a follow-up question, I guess I should have asked my question
Sorry.
a bit more precisely. I wasn't sort of thinking so much what engineering work you'd like to see done, but more
How to rectify.
what the actual process would be as far as, because I understand you've been asked to talk to insurers and that, but what you would see how yourself and council can come up with a
Well, first of all, like what we tried to get originally was the liability of something, so the kid, because the hole was, if a kid fell in the hole, who can drown? Who's liable? Because it's 1.5 metres deep when it's full of water. Right, and that's not on our property, and it's not under our access, it's not on council road reserve. Doc came up the other day, Representative Doc came up the other day, got on their GPS, because the water's coming off Doc Plan. Right, they've gone up to where they believe the boundary of Dock started and the road reserve starts. So it's clearly on road reserve, but because our access runs there, and I might add, our access has been, I've been up there 30 years, the access was there long before I got up there.
Okay, so we don't want to start to reiterate the whole process, otherwise we'll be taking up somebody else's time. Anybody else around here got a question for clarification?
Can I just show can I have a couple of those photos and show the photos of the actual?
They've been emailed out to the members.
Okay, because if you look at the photos itself,
Yeah.
if you look at the photos, you'll actually see if you stand at the top of the hole when you look across to the actual, if you're standing here, hopefully speaking that, and this is the piece that's being cut out. The two cones are here. This is stated.
Unfortunately, Mr. McLean, that you had your 5 minutes, point of clarification. They've got the photos. Some board members have been up to inspect the area.
Yeah, but
I've seen it.
In all due respect, Adrian, I was told that those would be here today, and I can't explain to them because in a photograph it's a flat, it's not 3D.
That might well be true, but there's a slight difference here. That you've had your 5 minutes. You could have put that into your initial 5 minutes, not now after 5 minutes. Sorry.
In the same token, the photos aren't here either.
True. Now on there, with
I think we've got them on now.
God, I just want to find it, I can show you later.
the photos in front of them.
No, those photos here are.
It's your lot. Sorry.
They're looking at the wrong photos.
Thank you.
Oh, this is one.
And that photo's you. Okay, the next speaker is Mrs. Mears, please. If I announce that correctly. And pass the two, Chris, with you. Sorry, I'm going to give you a chair.
All right, thank you.
You have 5 minutes.
Yeah,
and we-
I know. It's fine, so. All right. Welcome, good morning, and thank you for your invitation today. Tēnā koutou katoa. My name is Sonia Roos, and this is Chris Lee, who's pastor of the Baptist Church in Thames and also works with the Living Well Trust. I'd like to introduce you today to the new project that we call the Coming Home project that we'd like to establish in Thames. And it's a project for the homeless people and other people who don't have a proper place to live, and those who struggle with anxiety, depression, anger, addiction, poverty, and coping with life. So the purpose is to provide for those who fall through the gaps in the system and those who have spiraled downwards so much and fallen so deep that what is offered publicly is not sufficient for them. The main idea we have is to provide a home and a house where the house parents are on site for those people only who are ready for the change and ready to start a new life. There will be expectations of commitment of the participants, so it's not an enabling. There would be only a few people living in the house at the time, and they would live there for a year or two until their lives are transformed. They will be connected with counsellors, therapists, and so on, and learn about life skills, values, finances, parenting, relationships, and everything that's necessary for life. So it would be a home where they're loved and welcomed, accepted, and where they do get a new start in a positive environment. They would get all the help they need and all the support. So linking to counsellors and therapists is very important. It's a place where they can restore relationships to themselves, to others, and to God if they want to grow their faith. The goal is recovery, restoration, healing, and wholeness. People will get back onto their feet and then will be reintegrated into society, reconnect with family, and get work and housing. So what we need is a house and a team of support people. And some people, of course, with expertise. Can be a rented house, can be a bought place, or just leased or whatever. The project will rely on funds and volunteers. It would be a private house and accommodation that can host up to 6 people. So there are other examples of retreats, similar retreats for people struggling with addictions and mental health issues, and they have proven to be working and are growing. As a single person or as a single institution, this is hardly possible. But as a town, I believe we can do this. And this is why I introduced this here today. If we all pull together, we can achieve the goal and we can catch those people who have fallen. The project will have to be a community project. And there's several options how to run it, like an enterprise or under an umbrella like the Living Well Trust, or as a branch of another retreat centre. So we have lots of people in town who struggle, and they are our concern. So we want to, they are part of us in our community, and our hearts are beating for them. And so we want to establish something that's not there yet. The motive is love and compassion for them, and we want to honour them on their journey back to wellness. The biggest chance for transformation of an individual's life is through a loving home and a healthy family and lots of teaching and learning. So on Monday we had our first meeting with over 40 people attending, including representatives of the Ministry of Social Development, and from the board to people of Personal Thank You, TCDC and the DHB through Manati Centre. We introduced our vision as well as the projects that are already established. In the discussion, several ideas, proposals and concerns were raised. One of the main requests was a night shelter for people to have a roof over their heads and toilet and shower facilities. There are different needs out there, and people are at different stages. There's those who are ready for change, and a home would be the best option. And there's those who are not ready for the next steps, and they still need to have their basic needs met. We would learn from other places who have already done similar things. At the moment, we're forming this planning team with people who are keen to support the idea, and we welcome everybody who would like to join us. And this plan, we have a detailed concept about how we run the place, what needs to be set up, the framework of things. That includes things like requirements for participants, rules, helping, financial contributions, and stages of the program. We'll also cover topics like children, families, work, physical activity, and offer teaching and therapy. Finances and public relations will be also addressed.
Excuse me, you have 1 minute left.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
we can't see your notes.
Yeah, that's good. Thank
Get a
you.
little clock.
That's lovely. Thanks a lot.
True.
So with the detailed plan, we can apply, we can send it to community and we can apply for funds and grants. So we would like to include you in those planning stages and like to get some feedback from the community board at some stage, what projects you would support and how we would like to support them. When we pull it together as a community, we can achieve a lot more. So thank you for your opportunity to speak today and thank you for your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well done. Councillor Rodney and myself attended that meeting on Monday night and I found it very interesting. And along the lines that I also meet up with some of these people who are turned homeless in my walk around the area. And I appreciate there's a need of some form for help, for hand up or a helping hand. And I take my head off to you for initiating the program we have today. Now, does any board member wish to have any point of clarification or comment? Councillor Rodney?
Yeah, and thank you. At that meeting, someone, it might have been Shell from MSD, had raised about trying to get an idea of the scope of not just the project, but maybe of the how many people would be affected and what their needs and things were. And I realise it's something of a transient group, so it's not always easy to say, oh, this is the needs. But is there a mechanism to be able to?
With Living Well Trust, part of the Baptist Church, we have a drop-in every day, Monday to Thursday. And so we're aware of who is homeless, who comes into breakfast, who comes into the so that's the obvious ones, but there are many others. There's people who don't come to us. So we're aware of some that are homeless, living in their cars, living in the bush. Some of them don't want to have a house, they're quite happy where they are. But there are those who we identify who could benefit, who want to change, but are just stuck. And so we're not talking about fixing everybody's problem.
Yes.
But more of identifying those who are prepared to come in and so we can help them to achieve their goals of getting back into society and not being on the outside. So today we're not actually asking for money, we're not asking for anything, we just want to inform you what's happening. We've got another meeting in another month and subsequent. Just to start flesh out exactly what we can do with the facilities we have in Thames. You know, we're not Hamilton, we're not local. But one of the ones we were looking at was actually Darwin. Darwin was small enough, so it can be done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Chris. One of the things that I find in talking to people is a need for a wraparound system around mental health.
Yes.
Is that in your concept of what you're going to do going forward?
Yes, it would be because the homelessness is often connected to mental health issues and often also to substance use issues. So yes, it would be part
So
of
they
it.
go hand in hand, basically.
They do. Yes. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
I'd like to just
Yeah,
hand out, if that's all right.
yeah. As you go here, Pastor Chris, you're working to ask for money, so that's perfect.
And the meeting dates on
Everybody's relaxing now.
meeting dates are on there if anybody's interested. You're very welcome to.
And it's all,
The meeting dates are on the little
thank you.
sheet. All right. Thank you very much for that.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you both.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Hampton, and you have others with you? Yes. Board group?
I'm the community, she doesn't want to come and sit.
Welcome once again, Mr. Hampton.
Thank you. And good morning, elected members and staff. We're here to speak to the item 2.1, Kauaeranga Valley Trail next steps, and thank Community Board and staff for the work that they've done to date. We're certainly supportive of some of the next steps, including the advancing the Kauai to Swing Bridge on that's crucially important for eroding safety. I guess what we would like to see is more action and next steps about how the larger project of the Kauaeranga Cycle Trail to the Dock Business Centre is advanced. So it's very heartening to see from the community consultation that quite a large majority of the community is very supportive and actually quite excited about that project. So it's clear that it's good work that was carried out by Exist, and I think it's very clear now that that project, the larger project of the cycle trail through to the Dock Visitor Centre from Paraguay, has a community mandate to proceed to the next steps. I think that's really clear. So it's good to have that work done. I'm going to refer back to our annual plan submission. So this is the Kauaeranga Advocacy, Kauaeranga River Trail Advocacy Group submission to the 23-24 annual plan. And just talk to a couple of items there quickly. The vision of the TAG is for the trails as a world-class 1 to 2 cycle grade trail and a nationally significant tourism attraction connecting visitors in the community to our greatest natural asset, the Kauaeranga State Forest. This project would provide direct and significant economic and social benefits to the Thames community, and therefore could be considered a key investment in the rebuild and recovery budget 23-24. The extended project concept is supported in principle by Diane Drummond, Hauraki Rail Trail General Manager, Strat Peters, who was then on the Hauraki Rail Trail Trust Board as the TCD's representative, and Hadley Dryden from Destination Coromandel. So all of those agencies are supportive of that larger concept. There's an opportunity to submit the expanded River Trail project for consideration and inclusion in the Hauraki Rail Trail Charitable Trust 10-year plan. Those discussions are underway at the moment. That's really important, and it's something that the Thames Community Board and Council could submit to the Hauraki Rail Trail Charitable Trust. The other key, and this is really the key point I think for us today, there is an opportunity to apply for central government funding. There are a number of funds that can be applied for. The Kauaeranga River Trail Advocacy Groups recommends, so this is our submission last year, that a business case is completed in 23-24 in preparation for future MB funding application rounds so that it is shovel ready. This was the advice from Diane Drummond. Therefore, TCDC co-funding of the Kauaeranga River Trail in out years should be considered for inclusion in the 24 to 34 LTP. So the most crucial thing and job that needs to be done right now is the development of a business case for the wider trail. That business case would provide a compelling argument for investment from council, for investment from central government agencies. If you don't get that business case done now, prior to the 10-year plan, we have missed the bus and missed the opportunity. The business case is the critical piece of work. So really that's our main point today. So just finishing off on our submission to the annual plan, which you've already received, and of course the annual plan is in development, is underway. Was the proposal of a development of business case to the standard required for further application to MD Tourism Infrastructure Fund or MD NZ Cycle Trail funding. That's the standard that the business case needs to be delivered to. So our view is that the community board should either fund that business case, or the community board, through resolution today, should propose to council that council funds that business case. This project has it's an economic development business case. It's an economic development project. It has district significance. So I would suggest that this becomes a council project supported by community board, but this has district significance and should be funded by the district. The business case is the next step. Without the business case, you cannot secure external funding. It is the critical thing that you need to have in resolution at your meeting today. Here I have, provided by Diane Drummond to me last year, a business case. So I asked Diane Drummond, who would you get to do a business case for the Heritage Rail Trail Charitable Trust? She advised Rowan Stafford of Rome Consultant, who's done many business cases. I'll leave here a business case prepared by Rome Consultant for the Featherston for a 7K cycle trail that they did there. There's the business case. They call it a feasibility assessment, but it is a business case. $23,000, that business case cost, and that was for a 7K trail. To put this in perspective, yes, there are some difficulties with this project, but the economic benefit of this project is massive. Yeah, I think it's the biggest thing that could happen to this community, along with the Kauaeranga Board, and congratulations on funding that through, so this should be treated in the same way. Want to add anything?
I think as a stakeholder, it would have been nice to have known about this being on your agenda today. We weren't aware until 9 o'clock last night, just by us, as a genuine member of the public looking.
So we haven't had a chance as a group to provide input into this report. I guess that would be another ask we would have today, is we've been engaging with council for 2+ years, must be close to 3 years on the project now, and we don't seem to be able to get the recognition as a stakeholder group for this project and be included in project development. It was actually a recommendation of the LMC report, which was funded by council, that we be included in a project group, and we think that we could achieve more working with you throughout, rather than having to present 5 minutes at a community board forum in future. So we would love to be formally acknowledged as a stakeholder in this project going forward.
I hear you loud and clear. That's what I'm saying. I just got Peter, Councillor Rebel. I'm just going to come back to you in a minute because your hand up. Mr. Hampton, I got a note that the business case comes after feasibility study, but you link feasibility study and business case as one, do you?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Without the number side, it's like you need the compelling. So I'll defer to the experts. And in my view, the best local expert on this is Diane Drummond of the Kauaeranga Rail Trail Charitable Trust, who used to actually work in Wellington as a funder.
Right.
She said to us last year before our annual plan submission, it's pity you haven't got your business case ready now.
Right.
That is the critical thing to get done.
Okay. Councillor Rebel?
Well, you've answered my question, I think, Mr. Chair. It was really, I would imagine, Greg, for a business case, we would have to have some idea of the cost. Yeah. Am I right in that or not?
Yes, but it would not have to be the final cost. And you would not have to have a confirmed route. I mean, in a way, it's a pity we haven't done more work on potential route, but I think we know there will be difficulties with this route, but the business case will provide a strong argument to have the communications with the private landowners about the benefit of the trails to the wider community, but also what is the potential benefit to those landowners. So the business case will provide a compelling argument for investment, but also in interactions with those landowners that we will interact with throughout the project.
So in simple terms,
yeah,
What are you saying to us today that we,
So I think that council, the community board should today have an additional resolution that either funds a business case or proposes to council that they fund a business case in preparation for the 10-year plan.
that sounds a bit wrong?
Yeah, and I think the game is you want council to own this project anyway. Let's be real, the Thames Community Board would never be able to fund this project. But council as a district economic development project would absolutely fund this across the district and with partnership of MB.
Yeah, so we've got a little bit to discuss.
Yep.
After you've gone when it comes to item 2.1, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of comments around the table in regards to this project, but I just ask any board members have any points of clarification, please, with Mr. Hampton? Yes, Councillor Rodriguez.
Yeah, I was going to ask, so you're saying about the business case, so
Yep.
I think so far we had a pre, I think it's now been called a pre-feasibility, but maybe it was called an initial assessment.
We had two.
Pre-feasibility.
These are pre-feasibility. Got two.
Okay.
AMC have done one, and then existing done this recently.
And yeah, and then there was an addendum, I think, which came out in August 22.
Which provided more detail on the swing bridge thing.
Right, but you see some value in wrapping up a feasibility drawing on that previous work with a business case. That's
All of that work that's been done is valuable. But I think the big game here and the one that, the opportunity we have right now, because there is a central government recognition of the need for resilience and recovery for the Coromandel. This project ticks that box big time. And economic development wise, when the next storm comes and closes the roads, which it will, Thames has always been accessible. If we had a tourist attraction in Thames and the roads are closed, well, we still have an attraction that is open to the public because Thames always remains open and the Kauaeranga Valley is a gem that needs to be released.
So that was a yes.
That's a yes. Yes, so all of that work is important, but the critical bit of work now that needs to happen urgently is the business case for the big project. If that's not funded now, then it won't get recognition in the 10-year plan. It needs to be, and it's not, here's a business case. This guy's sitting there, $23,000 fielding report, 7K trail. This is only a 2K trail. Put it into perspective, the Karakia Rail Trail consists of 120 kilometres.
195 that's reading.
195, there you go. This is 10 Ks. With the right business case behind it, it is absolutely deliverable one way or another.
So just for point of clarification, 10K from
The 10K from Boone's Ave to the dog visitor centre. I Googled it this morning. Google mapped it this morning. From Boone's Ave to, and the other thing is that with Ed's work on the swing bridge, absolutely go ahead with that. But don't start that project. Tactically, don't start that project until you have applied for the larger trail project, because that will then be considered as your contribution towards that project, which ticks a big box as well. So fund the swing bridge, have that in the 10-year plan. There's your contribution towards the larger trail and goes in the application along with the business case. And you start to have a very compelling argument for central government funding, because PCDC under roading is funding the first stage.
Is nobody else?
There's one other thing I'll quickly bring up for your information. The Kauaeranga Christian camp we're not sure of the status of it, and Jackie may be able to provide more detail, but they are currently part of their property and their activities encroach on road reserve. And they are currently preparing, we think they're preparing a resource consent to have that formalised. Kauaeranga River Trail Advocacy Group would object to that because the road frontage along there would absolutely be a potential route for the river trail as well. So we do not believe that that encroachment should be allowed to become permanent, because it would be an obstruction to other council objectives for the road past that. And they've also purchased a large piece of land on the other side of the river. It's not like they have a lack of land to undertake their activities.
But left field.
So they are already approaching. Jackie, who is a neighbour to the Kauaeranga Christian camp, they are already approaching neighbours to seek their consent for the resource consent that they are going to be submitting. So we're putting that on your radar, and we don't think it's a good idea that their encroachment is able to be formalised or become permanent in some way.
Thank you for that. Okay, no further comments, points of clarification? I thank you both very much for your attendance today. And we'll have to talk about it 2.1 very shortly.
I'll leave that business case.
We can talk about that, Tim.
Yeah, I've got it. So that's just paper. So I've got that. And there's our original submissions to the 23-24 annual plan, which I think still all applies. All of that still applies. Thank you.
Very much. Does somebody care to move, please, that the Thames Community Board receive Mr. McLean, Mrs. Beers, and Mr. Hampton, please, as biggest in the public forum. All those in favour, please say. Oh, sorry. I haven't moved something here. Sorry. Moved by board member Johnson and seconded by councillor Rodley. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against?
I've got a message from Peter asking if we can move a microphone closer to you guys.
No.
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 You have one friend here, Peter.
Oh, stop.
Is that as far? Okay, no.
Maybe we could we, sorry, just through the chair, could we suggest that Peter's just able to put his hand, his physical hand up to vote?
I was anticipating, okay.
I can see a solution to this because we can get a little bit more. If we move the table, but also if we move the cable to the other side.
Is the school teacher?
Yeah. Well, you didn't. Quick enough.
It's
not
Thanks.
No worries. Anybody go into the middle, just be aware this.
multiple. So yeah, maybe we could, would that be all right if he just puts his hand up?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Sorry.
So I forgot to welcome those people. I think there's a Donna and Rebecca's there and Dean's there. So well, Bruce. All these people get inside information through Zoom. All right. Teams. Welcome team. Sorry I didn't welcome in the first instance. We do appreciate your time and efforts. Okay. Oh, there you go. Okay. So move second and recorded. Great. Any conflicts of interest? Oh,
I don't know.
oh, you might take that up because there's no one that's there to agenda. So.
I'm going to say it.
Oh. 1.4, is any item there to the agenda? I told you.
Could I just say, with regards to item 2.1, I am a property owner in the Kauaeranga Valley. I just wanted to state that I'm not suggesting I have a conflict of interest, but I just wanted to be clear that I am a property owner in the Kauaeranga Valley.
It actually occurred to me, Councillor Rebel, while I was having my shower this morning, don't think about it. I do have this best thinking underwater. There may be a conflict of interest now, so no, you have an interest in common with the rest of us. So you can speak freely today until we come to buy some land off the front of your property.
Thank you.
Okay. So that's 1.5. So 1.6 is the minutes for confirmation. I take them as being read. So somebody cares to move the community board minutes, confirm the minutes for the 10th Parliament Community Board meeting held on the 30th of September 2023. So we can move that, please. That was here.
Yes.
Oh, moved by Councillor Sinclair. Do we have a second, please?
Yeah.
I'll
Member Holly. Keys in, please. Thank you. Any matters? Oh, no. I'm going to put them down. I did. Wow. I did some nice information on my right-hand side. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Declared carried. Are there any matters arising from the minutes, please? No, I just think, no, none. We're up. Very good. Okay, item 2.1. So you've been, yeah. Yeah, I think we might take a short break, please.
Just say that.
Yeah.
Yep. 10 minutes. We've got 10 minutes. 5:11. We back in. Grab yourself a drink.
Thank you.
Feel like a pre-gravel, pre-gavel.
I mean, surely there's, you can hit it lightly.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lee. It's got.
Oh, yeah.
I just turned it down a little bit.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh. Okay, item 2.1. We have with us our roading manager, Mr. Barley, and we also have Rosalind. Are you the writer of this report? You are?
Joint.
Yeah.
The joint.
Okay.
Good morning, this is item 2.1, Kauaeranga Valley Trail, next steps. And purpose of this report is to adopt the Kauaeranga Valley Trail needs assessment and decide on the timing for the feasibility study, the scope for it, and confirm the critical success factors that were identified during the process of preparing the needs assessment.
Just one moment, please, Rosalind. Peter, can you hear?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Okay. So, and Dean, you can hear? We're shifting the microphones around. Okay. Thank you.
In mid-2023, we engaged Exist Limited to undertake the needs assessment. The methodology, you'll recall, included qualitative interviews, an online community survey, and 3 drop-in sessions held in late June at the Thames Bowling Club, the Citizens Band Hall, and in the Kauaeranga Valley Hall. As the needs assessment has been completed, the next step in the planning is to undertake a feasibility study. Today we have 3 options for consideration. Option 1 is to delay progressing to a feasibility study for a trail from Parawai to the Swing Bridge swimming hole until a decision has been made on its priority for funding via the 2024 to 2034 long-term plan, Te Maheni Pai Tawhiti process. Option 2 is to proceed to a feasibility study to confirm spatial requirements, location options, concept design, estimated cost, operational model, and development considerations for a trail from Parawai to the Swing Bridge swimming hole. And option 3 today is to do nothing. Do not plan to allocate any funding for a feasibility study. The recommended option is option 1.
Right, at that point there, we'll stop. So we need the permission of the meeting now to proceed. So set up a motion, so we have a discussion about what you wish to do. I've looked through the suggested resolutions. To say I find them slightly complicated as an understatement. So I'm going to do them do the first one only, and that's motion number 1. And that is to receive the report of the Kauaeranga Valley Trail next steps, report dated 28th of September 2023. Are you going to move?
I'll move that.
Moved by Councillor Rodley. Do we have a seconder, please?
Yep.
Councillor Sinclair. Any discussion on that motion? So that is receive the report, which is 2.1 document. No further discussion. Proposed to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, say no. Declared carried. Right, so that opens it up now that we can receive the report and probably discuss it to some extent, except when it comes to adopt the Kauaeranga Valley Trail needs assessments and attachment B and E. I'm not too sure if everybody's kind of worked out what B and E are, but B and E is that.
I think
That's B. Kauaeranga Valley
I think it's B to E.
Beg your pardon?
I think it's B to E, so B, C, D, and E.
Oh, what did I say?
B and E.
Oh, did I? That's my mistake. No. B to E, sorry. So apparently my advice that we have, I would have rather received that report. I've been told no. We have to adopt that the Kauaeranga Valley Trail needs assessment and attachment B to E so that we can proceed with asking for money and things like that, and put it forward to council. Councillor Rodley,
I'll move that.
is that what you're going to do?
No, I was going to ask a question, but you
Yeah,
probably
go-
need to move and think so we can talk
Yeah,
about it later.
well,
So,
Yeah, so you're comfortable with that, so it's moved by board member Johnson and seconded by member Rakwa. Okay, any discussion on that matter?
I'd just like some clarification around, so we've received the report. But then
Unlawful private, otherwise they'll just carry on.
No, stop.
So could someone just explain to me that the adopt the needs assessment rather than receiving it? Is that just a procedural?
So shall I respond to that?
You're welcome.
So the purpose of adopting a plan is that we will then use it for ongoing work. So when the documents agreed that we agree with what's in it and we move on. In the past, there've been documents that we haven't adopted. For example, Robin came across one yesterday with the walking and cycling strategy. It was never adopted. So we don't actually have a walking and cycling strategy, adopted right cycling strategy. We just have a draft. So we would, documents that are adopted, the staff then work to.
Do you understand that?
Yeah, so
That's a basic dialogue.
So a follow-up question. Within those attachments B to E, is there any appetite to also include the pre-assessment and the addendum reports done in 2021 and 22 into those attachments, so that essentially we're adopting those as well?
So if you
Would that make any difference?
So in the attachment B, you'll see throughout that the author of the needs assessment has referred to attachment C. So that's attachment C in your report today. And the author referred to attachment D, and that's attachment D in your report today, and so on with E. That's attachment E in your report. The two documents you're talking about, or you're referring to, are not part of the needs assessment. So we wouldn't adopt those as part of the needs assessment. They are referred to in attachment B. There is a section in there that summarises those two documents.
So the follow-up question then, you just said before that Councillor Sinclair came across adopted and hadn't been adopted. Is there any merit in adopting those other two reports at the same time as this?
There is background information to this report, background information for the needs assessment, just like the Thames Environmental District Sport and Recreation Plan, the Thames and Surround Spatial Plan, the Thames Visitor Promotion and Optimisation Plan. I mean, there are a number of documents that provided background information for the consultants when they started this project, and the two documents you're referring to were part of that batch of documents that were provided.
Can I ask another follow-up question? Sorry to keep over this. Within that needs assessment, it does refer, I think, briefly to these other two reports that I'm talking about. So, or if someone comes and looks at this, they've got no way of going back to see those other two reports.
But the same would apply to some of the other documents that provided background information that were there. So I guess if they wanted to see something, we could send it to them. I mean, I send out the Thames Visitor Promotion and Optimisation Plan quite regularly to people. They're just documents that form the background to where we started, which was the engagement with the community. And
If I may, I understand where Councillor Rodney's coming from. The two previous documents were never formally adopted by council or by the board. They've provided information to the current document. They could, in theory, be adopted by the board as supporting documents to the overall development of a feasibility study and a business case. And that could be done as a separate resolution in this meeting.
Yeah, because I take on board Councillor Rodley's comments, and I think that even if we just was attached or a separate motion that they be included, because I think they have some critical information and are quite important to the overall scheme of things. And also, I presume the board paid for them in the first instance, so they might as well be included in the discussion group going forward. Yeah, because I'm used to a nice, clear, concise executive summary, so we don't have 125 pages to wade through, and one would never know what's in the middle of this report. But if Councillor Rodley wants to, we can either do one or two things. Councillor, we can either and add on to that, adopt and add on those two items, or we can make it a separate item altogether. Which would you prefer?
Could I defer to our governance staff to suggest the way forward? Sorry.
Put that in our response.
Okay.
So through the chair,
Yeah,
because they're not part of the needs assessment, my advice would be it's a separate resolution.
Yeah.
Sorry?
They don't form part of the needs assessment. So my advice would be it would be a separate resolution
Right,
if you want to do that.
we'll just see what Cora above had to say.
I guess
Accepted. So separate, okay, very good. All right,
but I'm also very mindful that new members might not actually have had a chance to read those, so I'm worried that essentially we're asking people to adopt those two documents without reading them. So although I've just talked about wanting to adopt them, I'm
yeah,
aware that
I hear what you're saying. They did appear on our computers last night. And
Through the chair.
they've been around for a while.
So through the chair, they, as mentioned, they have the background information for this project.
Yeah.
And we also have other documents that could be adopted, that weren't adopted, that haven't been adopted. So I guess, why would you treat those two differently to others? You could, but I guess.
Which other ones were you referring to that weren't adopted as well? What other ones have not been
So
adopted?
for example, the Thames Visitor Promotion and Optimisation Plan was never adopted.
Why are we quoting? Oh, no, I got that. I just do some. So it's quite here. Yeah, I got that. Okay, so just going back to Councillor Wiley, are you comfortable with me? I'll deal with this one first, and we'll come back to that one as a separate motion, right? Dean, I'm sure you've got something to say about this meeting. Go.
Yeah, I've just got a suggestion, and really I'm asking Ed and Rose whether this would be appropriate. So it sounds as though the Exist report has used a lot of these background materials, but maybe it hasn't included a very good reference section at the back of the report to be very clear about the information that it's relied upon. So that could be something that we ask the consultant to do. And so I'm thinking that you could adopt that report subject to them listing the references at the, updating it with that. So I just putting that out there as a potential solution.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Allen.
So through the chair, just keeping in mind that the documents being referred to are in there's a section on them. So they've been summarised.
There is an executive section.
There is a section in the document that's headed with headings.
Oh.
But there is.
Yeah, I read it. Normally it's a standalone document. So, right, so in summary, we'll go ahead with that second motion. And do you want to add the words that those ones be included as a reference point at the back, or do you want them to be another motion which says please include, because I haven't got the names in front of me, please include the two reports in the reference section at the back of the thing? You're the one that first moved it.
Yeah, I'm just interested in what others, I mean, that's my opinion on it, but.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm also mindful of springing it on people at late notice.
Okay, because we don't want to move the second motion and then find out that we should have put it on as a reference point on that there. Yes?
Through the chair, I just think the more information we have, the better.
Yep.
Okay, we just need good access to it and make sure that it's referred to properly.
Yep.
Or it's actually available to us.
So you see that it's just been tacked on the back of that, adopt the Kauaeranga Valley Trail needs assessment attachment B to E, including those names of those two reports. Is that how you see it, Councillor Rodley?
Yeah.
Yep.
I can link them in the recommendation as well. So in the minutes, they would be linked to those documents.
Okay. Are you able just to take those general thing and put up the motion, please? Yes.
Take them off the screen.
Yeah, and just put the motion up there so they can steer it, so they're not fucking blind.
And I'll second that.
You'll second it? Okay, we're going to get through the first. Right, here we go.
Hang on, let me just make it.
Do we need to have F included in there as well?
Sorry.
Do we need to have attachment F referenced in that as well?
No, because we're just looking at A to E at the moment, B to E at the moment. Mum, because attachment F, if adopting attachment F says that we're going to launch into the feasibility study, etc., which I think there might be some debate about.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
That one was which one?
Can you read that out there on the board? I'm seeing I can read it here.
With the initial assessment had a different date, Jenna?
It's sorry.
Working on it.
Yeah.
Got it?
Which no one's screen.
I had asked.
Right. Yeah, so I-
Because he first moved concept of being included.
Oh, just one point of clarity. So there was a discussion a minute ago about adopting attachment B with the addition of a reference list at the back.
At the back end of it.
So, I mean, I
Yeah,
would like that because I think that reference lists are very important in these sorts of documents and it is missing.
I'm just wondering out loud, Councillor Sinclair, whether we could take that as being read and just include these there. So going forward, when they review the document, they include a reference section and then without having to ask them. Is that right, Ms. Ward? You want to
I
put a
think-
reference section going forward?
Because there's like few documents, there's not a lot of documents for this. And so it is actually, some of them are not, well, most of them are on our website.
Yeah.
The spatial plans on our website, the district sport and recreation plans on our website. Yeah.
I think the general tenor around the table is that we need to know the documents which have been either seen or used and reference them in the back of your report so people know what's been referenced in the back of the report.
Yeah, we can just make sure that the next,
Correct.
right, next assessment we do has a reference list.
Yeah.
So I'd just like to have a reference on documents that you've used or read or cited or whatever, or taken pieces from, or used maps from.
Yeah, that's my bugbear.
Spatial plan,
One of the maps in the report is not referenced.
right, spatial plan, things like that.
Yes.
Right, so up there, let's have a look what you've got.
We could just amend
Including,
There's no amendment.
there's an amendment to the motion we recently moved. So,
Yeah, I guess my only comment through the chair is the information in those two documents does not form part of the scope for a needs assessment. And that was the reason why I advised that if there was going to be another resolution, that it be added separately.
Is it critical that we not put it in there? I mean, as it goes to affect your document? Did you not say that you gave those documents to X, Y, and Z?
So again, the document that you're being asked to consider for adoption,
Yeah,
it does not include those two documents. It includes attachments B, C, D, and E. And
so, and also then we can take out the word including and put adopting. Because they have not been adopted, have they?
those two have not been adopted.
So could we take out the word including and change it to adopting?
If I may, Mr. Chair, if you, I think what it's on says, if you do all stuff after attachments B, C, D, E.
Yes.
And then new line with a new resolution, which is
Okay.
resolution 3.
Yes. We adopt those.
Separately to this report, but as part of the same process of adopting the documents.
Okay. So can you, so just verbalise that again? I just want to see it go up.
So resolution 2 would be adopt the Kauaeranga Valley Trail needs assessment in attachments B, C, D and E.
Full stop.
Full stop. That would need to be moved and seconded, which has been
We've done that.
And then have new resolution 3.
7.
Or 7 in this case, sorry. Which will be at the end of it, adopts the Kauaeranga Valley Cycle Trail initial assessment dated 20 December 2021 and report addendum dated August 2022.
Yeah, we're going to wait till 7. Yeah, we'll make it 3.
Yeah,
Make it 3. So we're going to make that 3 consistent going through.
So pretty much here, my comment is that it's not a feasibility study. It's not anything that we would normally adopt. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I would. But there again, I see no reason not to formally adopt it as background information.
So,
And I concur with you.
so perhaps.
So we're going to move the first one. So we've got to put the first one to a vote. Right, I'll read it out to you. So adopt the Kauaeranga Valley Trail needs assessment and attachments B, C, D and E. You all clear about that? Everybody around the table? Clear? Clear, Peter? Oh, Councillor Rebel?
Yes, it is. I'm all good.
Thank you. So any further discussion on that? No, okay, propose to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? That's carried. Motion's 3.
The new.
New motion.
Yes, it is a new number.
We're changing the order, keep it consistent. I'm not too sure about the other ones. I was going to be asking the room where you want to do that one. Oh, I've gone to bed. We're getting a lot of.
No.
Okay, all right. Okay. We're getting a lot of good information coming in via the internet, probably through AI, I think. So what's it read? Yes, please read it out.
3 is supports the Kauaeranga Valley Cycle Trail initial assessment dated 20 December 2021 and report addendum dated August 2022.
We've just received them. Yeah, I think we'll ask if we can receive them.
We can't see them because we don't have them in part of the agenda.
Oh, okay. There you are.
Okay.
Simple. Yes, Councillor Rodley.
So would that mean potentially in a feasibility / business case study, they could be successfully referred to because we've supported or received them
So in a feasibility study, all the documentation we have to date would be reviewed,
Yeah.
including those and any other documents that we have, and we don't have many. So, yeah,
Yeah, I was just making your point about one from 2016 not being adopted.
yeah, and so it's, yeah, I mean, that was a plan. That was actually a strategy and it was never adopted. So it's quite hard for us because we don't have an adopted plan. It wasn't a background piece of information.
But doing this will mean we can refer back to officially properly.
The one that you're referring to is the business plan, something business plan.
Just have a lot of documents that,
Yeah.
for example, the other example more recently with big projects where the business case hasn't been adopted.
Okay.
So we just need to make sure that we're careful what we're doing, and all I'm saying is that those two documents will be passed on to the organisation that does the next piece of work on this
Okay.
project.
I would like to move amended / new resolution 3, please.
Well, you just move the three. Second by, Deputy Chair Johnson. So, Councillor Rebel.
So I have a problem with number 3, the way it's written. I think the that initial assessment and the report addendum, I think were really good and really helpful, but I would not want it to be construed that in saying that we support it, that we're actually saying that's kind of what we want to have happen, because it's just that those reports are just based on a roadside trail. It doesn't talk anything, there's no kind of feasibility about, being around the river or anything like that. And I just think that support, using the word support, suggests to me that we're 100% behind what came out in those reports. And I'm not sure that we are. So I'm not sure that supports is the right word. I certainly support the ongoing importance of using those reports, because there is really good information in them. So that's what I'd be supporting. I'd be supporting the ongoing use of them, but yeah, I wouldn't want it to be construed that we're in saying support. We're saying we agree with what's outlined in those reports.
The hand going up everywhere, so Councillor Rodley.
No.
Oh,
No, it just supports use of.
or acknowledge, was it written down, acknowledge here?
Oh, no, we can't receive it.
Acknowledge that, apparently.
Recognise reference to acknowledges information given and accepts use of.
There you go, it's a range of words.
Dean's got his hand up.
Acknowledges.
Yeah, so acknowledge it.
Okay.
Dean, happy with that? Do you want
All right. You can have an acknowledge or accept, apparently.
I would like to move resolution 3 with acknowledges at the start of it.
Yeah. Well, just. Yeah.
Let's vote on that.
That's bigger for you? You happy with it being acknowledges? Martinez?
So I would. Oh, that tends to, that the words leading to that would be the Thames Community Board acknowledges. Yeah. It's got to have somebody to acknowledge it, so we'll start with the Thames Community Board acknowledges as that one there. That's probably what it should have said on who for adopt, the Thames Community Board adopt. Yeah, so it's at the top of the page, all right? So the Thames Community Board acknowledges the Kauaeranga Valley Cycle Trail initial assessment dated the 20th of December 2021 and the report addendum dated the August 2022. Sounds like it. Are you happy with that?
Yep.
So that's like change.
Happy to move that.
Who was the seconder to that? Board Member Johnson. Is there any further discussion on that? Excellent. I propose to put the motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Declared carried. Watching closely there, councillor Rebel.
And I am.
I didn't see which way.
I voted for it.
Oh, did you? Thank you. Thank you for the clarification. Okay, so that leads us to what was formerly 3. So we're going to go through these one by one. So that leads to what was formerly recommendation 3. So has anybody got any thoughts about that? So I just want to sort of hark back to that about, I just want to ask the question of either one of the two people in the front there. Just how do you make a recommendation? Excuse my ignorance, but how do you make a recommendation for a long-term plan if you haven't got any costings? What amount of money would you take for a long-term plan?
It very much depends on what you are intending to do. If you are doing something that's fairly routine work, taking operational maintenance as a good example for roads, we know what's happened in the past. We have good estimation about the rates of inflation and cost indices changes, and we make a educated guess at what the future rates could be. For a specific project like this, you would have knowledge of costs of previous things such as feasibility studies, detailed design, land acquisition costs, legal expenses, etc. They would all form part of the estimate. You would also have a good estimate built up of the cost of the project. That could be on a rate per linear metre of, say, a footpath, or rate per kilometre of new road construction. And you would build up your cost estimate for the project based on that. That would all then go into your PRF estimate.
So initially, did you, was it you, somebody came up with about 1.4 million from Tarawai to Swing Bridge?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, 1.46 I think it was.
And the addendum report gives a fairly accurate cost estimate for construction costs of, like stage 1 of the initial project. What is being discussed now is an extension of that further on up to the dock reserve, that side road reserve.
Yep.
So in the cost estimate, the LTP would have to take that additional work into account.
So one of the presenters today suggested that we initiate the first part, if I listen correctly, from Hawaii to the Swing Bridge as a part of our ongoing thing, and then you'll take an overall view from there to the dock camp, will you? Is that on your feasibility study? Is that how you intend to do it? One's a given and one's a.
In what through the chat, first of all, my responsibility stops outside of the road reserve.
Right. Right.
This is one of the issues of the project, if you like.
Right.
The concept now extends into dock reserve, which we as a council have no jurisdiction over. So we can do cost estimates, we can do feasibility studies for the areas that council owns at the moment, and we can also do feasibility studies for other routes, including dock reserve and private land. The difference is if in road reserve, roading will be a major contributor to it. If it's outside road reserve, then this becomes an economic development project, and technically we would be a contributor to it, but not, if you like, the major driver.
So really, at some stage, it would be better if this reverted across the Thames Community District Council with a recommendation of the community board to proceeds, because we don't have any control of those roading situations, nor probably carry much clout with DOC either, or private landowners. So are we going to end up in a situation where we just go to road reserve all the way to DOC and probably leave out the most exciting part of the journey, or are we going to negotiate with landowners?
So through the chair, that would be the purpose of a feasibility study, to work that out as to what is feasible. And you'll see from the appendices that, you know, it's not going to be straightforward. And you'll recall when we started working on the Kauaeranga Valley Trail, there were landowners that weren't that happy about it either. But, you know, we do have the Kauaeranga Valley Trail, and it took many years.
Yeah.
So the feasibility study would work through all those questions. The other thing that Em has alluded to is the DOC Visitor Centre is on the DOC estate, and currently cycling is not permitted in the conservation management area.
Really?
So currently they're very interested, and however, there are some changes that would be needed to the conservation management strategy to enable bike riding on the conservation estate in this area.
We had that on the 14th. Peter, Council Rebel.
Thank you. So just a couple of comments. I think the vision of this trail is perhaps getting lost in this conversation. And if you recall, when this was first presented to us, you know, not just the Parawaita swing bridge thing, but the concept of a Kauaeranga River Trail all the way to the dock centre, there was, I think we were all captured by that vision. We could see, yes, that would be fantastic. And then when it was presented, or that same presentation was done to council, you know, it was a similar response from the council overall, that, hey, having a facility like this, a Kauaeranga River Trail, that would be great for the district. What an attraction for the district. So kind of that's the vision. And I just feel that where we're going with this conversation is we're talking a small part of it. We're talking a project of from Paraguay to the swing bridge and the feasibility and, you know, et cetera, without actually ensuring that we drive through the vision. And I think the points that were made this morning were very good around that, about the importance of being able to articulate that vision and to, in some way, to business case it. I think, and then when it comes to that sort of vision, it's like if you think about the aquatic centre, think what we're doing about the aquatic centre. Well, how much is that going to cost us? Well, we don't know, but we're thinking it's going to be, you know, and pick a big number. But it's, you know, the amount of information we have about what it's going to cost to build the aquatic centre is just nothing. But that hasn't stopped us putting stuff in the long-term plan for the aquatic centre, because that's where we're wanting to go. That's our vision. Our vision is to build an aquatic centre, and we're trying to work out where's the right place. And then once we figured out the right place, we need to work out how deep the pool's going to be, and, you know, and then we're going to come up with an answer, which is going to be, you know, 14 million, 24 million, 34 million, I don't know, whatever it is. And then we have the thing of, okay, how do we now fund this thing? So I'm concerned that we're losing the vision of this fantastic attraction for our district, but in particular for our town, and that we and that by kind of getting into the detail of landowners and all that sort of stuff, we're kind of moving away from that vision. And unless we've got the vision, unless we get the buy-in to the vision and so on, then even the first part's not going to happen, because it's just going to be an expensive roading project to build a wide footpath. And, you know, nobody gets excited about an expensive roading project, which is just a wide footpath. So, and then I just therefore go back to the information we heard this morning, and am persuaded that the next step is probably the development of that business case, which is the business case for the vision, and, you know, and what have you. And that can be the first step in moving this thing forward in our long-term planning.
Okay, Councillor Sinclair?
Yeah, really.
Councillor Rodley?
To agree with what my esteemed colleague has said, because you know, ultimately at the LTP table, your 3 Thames councillors will be pushing for the projects that we as a board consider to be important, and that we want as a priority. And so hearing that from a strong signal and the resolution would be really helpful at that point. But the other couple of other things that I wanted to mention is, you know, in the report, and we often talk about it at this table, oh, you know, Thames is an ageing population. You know, we're going to have to cater for all these old people further into the future, et cetera, et cetera. The future is not set. If we make ourselves a fantastic destination playground with this generous donation, if we invest in a pool that we think is going to bring families and be a real asset to all the people who live here, if we decide that a river trail is going to be something that will actually help the people who live here, we will become more attractive to families. And that will be the difference between a future in 40 years, which is all older people, and a future. Well, you know, some of my best friends are in their 70s and 80s, so I'm not being ageist in any way. But, you know, the reality is, we keep on talking about, you know, gosh, Thames will have a lot of older retirees, the, you know, workforce problems, what happens when we can't staff the hospital, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the decisions that we make at this stage are deciding the future that we have when we all get to be that age, because some of us are not there yet. And so there was another thing that I could rant on for a while. No, so the other question that I had about this, and specifically, Greg sort of mentioned it this morning, but you know, it was something that I do want a definitive answer on. You know, external funding would be ideal in this case. It was really great to spend other people's money before we spend our own money. Yeah, everybody can agree on that. Much better. So what happens if we choose option 1 in terms of being shovel ready for external funding? Does it close the door on external funding? Does it just mean that it's much harder to get because we have to wait for that much longer?
Option 1.
Yeah.
Means just that the decision will be made by the long-term plan process. That's all it means.
Right.
Because we don't have budget this year.
Yeah.
So we have budget this year, the recommendation would have been different, but we don't. And so that's all that recommendation is saying, is hold off until the long-term plan decisions are made and the councillors will either decide this is a priority or not.
That's the part I don't understand. Councillor Rodley wanted to say something. You had your hand up.
Oh,
You were next in line.
yes, so part of the needs assessment, the recommendation of the needs assessment, which we've just adopted, talked about having their recommendations on page 67 is having the recommendation Paraguay to Swingbridge, and then a separate one about Swingbridge to the Dock Visitor Centre. And I really do feel that these two need to be split into 2 separate type ideas, and this is what this needs assessment has identified. I would be more comfortable with the idea of tacking on or making resolution 3 or 4 as an hours to basically be along the lines of go ahead with feasibility study, provided that the priority is approved by council in the long-term plan, for that feasibility to be done in the second half of 2024. Because that way we encapsulate option one about delaying it until we've got some priority in the long-term plan, but we're also saying that we actually do want to do it. And I would be more comfortable being able to go into bat for that as a councillor in the long-term plan discussions, saying, look, there's our resolution from the community board saying we want to proceed with the feasibility plan. I also would like some clarification as to whether Greg's suggestion around feasibility / business case, whether there's the options to combine them in one. But surely that would be up to us as a community board to say, get some consultants to do them both at the same time. I don't know if that's
So,
possible.
Chair, that is possible,
Good idea.
that we could undertake a feasibility study, would then report back to you, and you can make a decision as to whether you want to proceed, but having that in the resolution would be fine, including the business case.
Does anybody else?
So just to clarify, so you're saying a feasibility and a business case study could happen at the same time?
No, what I'm saying is that we'd undertake a feasibility study, we'd report that to you and request that you seeking adoption of that feasibility study and then proceed with the business case.
Well,
But you could, what I'm advising is that you could have a separate resolution or include it in the same resolution, that the feasibility study and business case proceed, if that's what you agree on doing. And that would signal to us that there is support for proceeding. All I'm saying is that we would report back to you after the feasibility study to adopt it and seek adoption.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm just assuming that there's support for that, so we need to hear from others.
Yeah.
Whether there is, not just me.
Board member Ruckman.
To the chair, thank you. If they're done at the same time, there will be more time-saving thing.
Sorry, what was that?
Feasibility study and the business case, if they're done at the same time, there will be more time-saving thing.
Normally, like the feasibility study is a study about the options and looking into those in a deep way. So really understanding what those options and what the challenges are. And then once you have identified your preferred option, you then do the business case on that preferred option. The business case comes afterwards. Yeah.
That I understand. You want to comment?
Not at the moment, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Allen, and followed by Councillor Rebel.
Yeah, just an observation / a bit of a question for the councillors, but around the council table, the approach that's most likely to be able to get support would be looking at doing a feasibility study, 35k in the 24 year, and then looking at a business case, and you could put the cost of a business case in there as a placeholder in year 25, and that would give the councillors the ammo to sort of have that conversation with the councillors. It would also allow you to complete your feasibility in year one, and you'd be able to consider whether to progress to year 2 in the annual plan. So it just gives you a nice gate to make sure that the process continues to tick on.
Yep. Now, I just got to ask a specific question, because I do not understand this. Approve option 1, which is now in terms of motions. Approve option 1, delay progress into a feasibility study for a trail from Paraboy to Spring Bridge swimming hole until a decision has been made on a priority for funding via the 2024 thing. Who is going to make that decision? Council. Based on what? This is part I don't understand. I don't know why you're delaying the feasibility study. So no money for it. So then, are you going to put some money in now? How does this work?
Well,
Yeah, go on. Mr. Barley wants to comment. Through the very
The standard process for the development of any project normally starts off with a needs assessment.
We've done that.
Which we've done. Once a need has been established, there is normally a feasibility study to look at what the options are for the route for the project. That then generates an outline route or an outline design. We have actually preempted that by doing a bit of work for the roading stuff in advance, but the needs assessment has identified that there is the potential for the trail to be off-road, to be more than just a road network, more than just a wide footpath by the side of the road. So that itself has, to some extent, clouded the issue. So it's no longer just a path by the side of the road. It could potentially be a lot longer, a lot larger. The original concept was for a circle route that doglegs back to the Kauaeranga Trail on State Highway 25. So the feasibility study stage would come after the needs assessment. Once you've done the feasibility study and determined what the actual need is and what the route options are, you select a route and a business case is then developed to support that. You would then have a good estimate of the costs for the business case. That would then form part of a funding bid for external people such as Mundi or Wakakotari. And then funding could be coming from external sources rather than just council. The situation we've got at the moment is we've done the assessment for the road, we've done the needs assessment for the entire route. We have no funding this financial year for the next stage, which would be the feasibility study. That would then lead to the business case, and then that would lead to project construction. We have a bid in for the 24-34 long-term plan that would finance the feasibility stage in year one of that 3-year cycle. The business case could then be in year one or year two, and then potential funding in year three. Council needs to approve that LTP funding bid if it's to be funded through district council funds. If the Thames Community Board chooses to do so, my understanding is that they can find funds through local rates to do the feasibility study in advance of that and to do the business case. It wouldn't be my recommendation that they would do that because it would be additional funding on the local rates, which probably would not be supported by the Thames community as a whole.
So it seems a little protracted. I mean, every training we change over, this is going to flip into another training road we're going. Is there any way to expedite this and move this forward? I think we're using money from the roading account at the moment at this point, are we?
Through the chair, no, the funding for the investigation so far has been purely through the Thames Community Board.
Oh, really?
Because it's not a project that would be approved by Wakakotari at this stage, we can't use roading funding for it.
So anyway, so your recommendation is we delay the feasibility study until we get money up on the LTP.
That's the current recommendation.
And do we have a amount in mind? Because these councils are going to go to bat for us.
Yeah, from memory, it's 35k in year one.
Okay.
So it says in the report.
It's in the report. I did see 35k now, so that was for the current report. I did realize I'm going forward. Councillor Rodley.
So just looking at the wonderful long-term plan, just reaching list of priorities.
The draft.
The draft one.
Yeah.
So under footpath, cycleways and street lamps, we've got this is what we think we can do, projects. This is a stretch, and then this is other ones, and river trails about here. These have been ranked in order of priority by a number of different measures. And it talks about 250K in 24-25 year, 546 in the next year, and 4.8 in the year after. But that, I think, assuming we're going up to the dock centre. So I could support the idea that feasibility case is done in 24-25 year, but I don't want to see the business case stretching out to 25-26. So I would support being able to do feasibility and business case for the 35,000 plus however much more for a business case, maybe another 35. Let's just call it 100 to go into the long-term plan for 24-25 year, because I don't want to still be looking at a business case for 25-26 because that's too far away.
I'll make you Martin.
Yeah, I mean,
We don't, through the chair, we can't comment on how long it will take to do a feasibility study. We will scope up the project, have a timeline, like we did with all projects. You'll be kept up to date with it, you know.
Okay.
Based on this thing.
right behind you, guys, people waiting to speak, but I think we're all captured with the initial thing that agreed for, and I don't know where Peter thinks that we're not very keen about that at the moment. You know, I think that was one of the most fantastic projects that Greg brought in and displayed to us. Now, when I first saw it at the council LTP, I said we wanted at the board level. That was the other way around. And yeah, and we got to support that, but I don't want to see dragging out year after year after year to get some traction. Councillor Rebel?
Yeah, look, I felt persuaded about the next step being the business case, which I will call the vision business case for the whole thing. When we're talking feasibility, I think we're talking about feasibility for the short bit from Parawai to Swingbridge. Is that right?
Correct.
That's the way it's here.
Right. So they're actually two very completely different activities. And to say that you do the feasibility study case first and then the business case, that would only make sense if your feasibility was the business case for the whole, that would only make sense if your business case was only for the short bit. You know, and I'll just repeat, I think we're losing sight of the vision to have the whole thing. And I found it very compelling when reference is made to Diane Drummond and what her experience and advice had been. And, you know, so I actually need to be completely dissuaded by somebody in this room that I've got rocks in my head by not hanging out for step one, a business case for the vision, and then step two, if you want to do it at the same time, that's fine, a feasibility study for the short bit. But you know, it's I see them quite separate, and I'm somebody needs to dissuade me from that position because I'm not yet dissuaded.
Okay, Ms. Allen?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm going to persuade you, Peter, but I hear your comments about the overall vision. I just wanted to respond to something that Adrian said earlier about trying to speed it up before this LTP. And having been involved in the Tairua walkway, the land complexities that are involved and the complexities involved with the various stakeholders definitely would slow you up. I think I'd just like to point out that the budget that Martin referred to was on the CapEx list. So that was a draft CapEx program that has been shown to the councillors for their feedback. And so that was based on some early figures that were put in. What it appears we're talking about now is having for this LTP feasibility for the whole project, potentially as a project, as a year one, and then pursuing a business case for year two, and that way coming into the next LTP, which would be 27 to 29, you would know exactly what was required, and you would have identified who those other funding parties might be and where the funding can come from. So I don't know whether that's the right way to approach it or not.
Mr. Varley.
If I may, through the chair, the CapEx project system that council runs is based on district-wide funding. If the feasibility study and business case for this project forms part of the bid by council or bid by the community board to council for funding as part of that overall district-wide funding package, the likelihood is, as Councillor Rodley's identified, it will not get funded. It will be at the bottom of that list, and it will be prioritised as a need to have, not as a need to have, but a nice to have project, should I say. The only way that the Thames Community Board can guarantee that the project progresses through the feasibility and business case stages is funded through a local rate or local funding. That would then create a project that has a business case already prepared, a route along that has already been discussed and agreed, and would have the ability then to very rapidly go into a design stage if funding was made available from third parties. So this would in effect be a shovel-ready project. But in order to ensure that you have that information available, that would have to be funded by the Thames Community Board outside of the capital projects expenditure. What you could then do is have the capital project funded as a district-wide project at a later date.
So did you all hear that? So this has some connotations on rate demands and Thames and what people paying away rates, isn't it? So if it's 100,000, it's less than 150,000 with a 1% rate increase. So it's less than 1% rate increase, but do we have to have sufficient numbers for that sort of buy-in? Do we have to go to public consultation to ask about it? Or we do from here?
If I can just bring you back to the report.
Yep.
Which, I mean, we've worked our way through some suggested resolutions. At the moment, we're talking about whether there is support to proceed with a feasibility study. From what I've heard, I think there is. It's just the timing of it. Peter has a different view. He thinks we should do a business case for the vision. So normally you'll do the feasibility study for the vision and then the business case for the vision.
I can understand.
The business case is to it's sort of like a sales document. You're selling you would have in there the route. So you have all the costings of the route that you've chosen, all the pros and cons, then you have the concept for the route. That's what would be in a business case for the vision.
I understand that. I understand that we can't make this decision until we have a feasibility study, and then we choose which route we want to focus on and things like that. So we're getting to a situation now. We're talking about Palawai to the Swing Bridge, which has had at least 2 studies done on the Hazeltide. So there was never a business case done on Paraguay? No. So we're deferring the feasibility study on that until you put some money into LTP, or do we take, Mr. Varley's suggestion is separate to that? Or we've missed the rates for this round, so either way. But if I read you correctly, the only way we're going to get this on the board is we sort of funded ourselves to a first point that we can get it up to council for the business case.
Through the chair, it would be feasibility, then business case.
Yeah. Oh, I jumped out for feasibility.
Yeah, yes, the only way that the board can guarantee that this project actually continues to proceed is to fund it locally.
Yeah, and I'll take your advice on that. Dean, Mr. Allen, did you have another comment to make? Or did you find it?
I just wanted to be really clear with the feasibility and the business case. We're talking about OPEX budget, and so in the LTP, we would be looking to secure that OPEX budget for the economic development or community outcomes group, and it would be on the economic development and community outcomes group to then progress those two pieces of work, potentially with the involvement of the trust. And so that's how we would go through those next stages of work.
We have unspent discretionary budget for this year. I think it really bears repeating. The support of this board is really critical to getting this over the line at council. So I'll take you back to the discussions that we had about the Kopu Marine, and of course that was externally funded to a large extent, but at the end of the day, the community board needed to have a large financial commitment in order to be able to secure the support from the rest of the council, because everybody at the council table said, well, if your board supports this and is willing to put rates towards it, is willing to put, I think we've got a whole chunk of money from Tugpra against it, then this is really important to our community, and we can see that you've got flesh in the game. And so I think option one feels uncomfortable to me, because I'll be going to the rest of the council and saying, oh yeah, we like it, but we don't like it enough to really back it. So that's what I'm really looking for. If this is something, and Peter talked about the vision, which I fully appreciate and cannot endorse enough. If we endorse this vision, if this is something that we want for our town, if we think that this is the best thing since whatever, then a really strong signal to our colleagues, that is the councillor colleagues around the table, is to say we're willing to put money towards this. And as I said, we have the discretionary, or I'm just really uncomfortable with the idea of option one.
Sticking mindful.
Yeah.
That's our trust. I keep greening out a little bit, but I just get a really clear steer on this. Well, we all do. Just where we're going. Just going back to the Tugpra.
Yes.
Just going back to the Tugpra account. So we do generate an income each and every year, and I take on board what Councillor Sinclair said. If we put some money up, put some money on the table and show we've got faith in the project, it's so much easier to bring your fellow councillors that are around the table to support us going forward. So I think we seriously got to look at this, and I'm wondering whether we've done the first three parts of it, and whether we should, and there's only a thought that you leave it lie on the table and pick it up again when you sort out how you want to do it, or do you want to jump in and say we're going to support this internally ourselves to start with, up to the point of a business case from Paraguay to Swingbridge? What do you want to do? In your one up there, Councillor Rebel.
Yes. If we're talking about a feasibility study for Paraguay to the Swingbridge and then doing a business case for Paraguay to the Swingbridge, to my knowledge, no one yet has been killed on that road. That is the only business case that there is for Paraguay to Swingbridge. We're saying we want funding for this because It's a health and safety issue. It's, you know, for people getting to the swing bridge to have a swim, etc., etc. That's what a business case for this thing that we're talking about, feasibility study for the short bit, is going to be. And I just don't think anybody is going to get out of bed and say, oh, yeah, great, let's put our rates up so we can do that. And so I go back and say, if that's the approach we take, I've London to a brick. It just won't happen because the business case won't stack up. The business case has to be way, way more compelling than that. You know, yes, there is, and over the whole thing, that becomes, you know, a tourism, an economic, economic development thing, all that. And it happens to also address some health and safety issues on the way through. So if we're going to vote on a motion which talks about a feasibility study to the swing bridge and a business case to the swing bridge, I will not be supporting that motion.
Barley?
If I may, Councillor Revell is quite correct. If you apply a business case purely on road safety aspects, it will probably never stack up. Certainly from the investigations we've done, there are no recognised road safety issues that NZTA would acknowledge on that road. And if you use their business case, it would not stack up on road safety aspects. But as Councillor Revell also acknowledges, this is a lot more than just road safety. This is an economic development. This is creating a tourism aspect, and any business case that's developed would not be limited to road safety. It has to acknowledge the tourism aspects, the economic development that is provided by this route. So yes, a road safety business case would not work. The business case would not only cover road safety, it would cover economic development, the tourism side of this, the benefit to the community as a whole. And that is how it could be solved.
And I just thought this was the first step towards the overall thing. As Mr. Hampton said, if we get to the swing bridge and then including the other part of our discussion, we've got a leg to stand on and we're showing good faith. Just one thing about road safety and the benefit to cost ratio of VC, it used to be in the old days, is the thing is that if you save a life, you don't have to wait till fatality to say that the road's unsafe. Should you save a life? And we've sat here at various meetings and heard people say that it's unsafe for children to walk along that road to school or whatever, and there's no bus service. So, but I would never ever just put it all onto safety factor. I think that we've got to develop a decent case about tourism, about going forward, about getting up to the Kauaeranga Valley. And we have now one more. Ms. White, if you care to speak, please.
Just through the chair, thanks, Chair. Just a couple of comments I just wanted to make. If you look at the Tairoa River Trail, that was staged and sequenced, and that was with support from the board, that was support from the trust, and it was also support through Council's ED activity. So, you know, the funding came through in a whole different streams, but all came together to work on different parts of that trail. I don't see how a feasibility study couldn't be done and now if there is some mechanism that the trust who are involved in this are able to put some money towards it from the ED activity and from the community board. And that feasibility study is not, as both Ed and Peter have said, it's not just about the safety, it's all about the economic and social impact. It also ties in with the biking strategy for the district that we are going to be taking to council to look to endorse in November. And again, that will bring in potentially other funding sources because this particular project is one that is in that strategy as a key potential area for development. So I guess what I'm suggesting is that there may be an opportunity where we can look at pooling together funds from different channels to do a feasibility study, and just being clear what that feasibility study is taking into consideration. It's around that staging and sequencing and the wider benefits of what it will bring to the district.
Thank you very much for the offer of money for the economic development fund. That's very kind. So, anybody else got any suggestions where to from here? Councillor Rodley, if you work out a motion.
Yeah, I guess the as Ed's just said, within the roading team and with Kauaeranga, they don't see Kauaeranga Valley as a road safety issue, well, based on criteria, I'm assuming. But asking anyone in the valley, and that came up in the needs assessment, people up there do see it as an issue. They live there, they look out, they drive into town every day. And how much of that is, well, those issues might not come up on council and what Kotahi's radar, because parents won't let their children use the road. So it's a safety issue because parents perceive it as a safety issue, don't let their children use the road. So I can see how, as an agency, they can say there's no issues. It's not a safety issue, but within the community, it's very, and I'm getting nods from several residents over there that it is an issue. So yeah, that's just wanted to put that in there.
So the bottom line is we don't wait for a test to happen. We decide it's not safe.
Yeah.
We decide before then.
But that hasn't helped.
No, it hasn't with the reason going start with either. So we're trying to make it safer now so it doesn't happen. The councillor Cynthia, is there something to say? No.
It's a lot.
What about on this side of the room?
Be all good.
So are we going to push on, or do we leave it to lie on the table and come back for another approach? So this has gone on for over an hour and 15 minutes.
Oh, suggestion from government.
Yes.
Okay, because you want to pop that up on the thing, please. I don't like any option which starts off delay. That's not good.
Well, I guess that comes on having no budget for this project available.
I just don't like any option starts off with delay.
Can we make that say cut on the river trail project?
Yes.
Just to be
Super clear. I can't vote on it.
Specificity.
Through the chair, do we have enough money in our account to speed up this process?
Yeah. Sorry, for Barney. We're going to invite you at lunch if you get a
Revised option 4, if you add during the 2023-24 financial year.
Yes. Current.
Yeah.
Now.
That would then create a feasibility study and then potentially the business case in preparation for the 24-34 10-year long-term plan.
Is that okay?
Yes. And then the next resolution would be following on from that. Supports the submission for funding for the 2024-34 long-term plan, and requests that the capital project funding is brought forward to 24-25.
Slides, I can type it.
Supports provision by staff for funding for project, the funding of the project during the project in the council's 2024-34 long-term plan.
Excuse me, just through the chair.
Yeah, no, just getting to go, so,
Okay.
sorry to bring.
Dean has something to say.
Sorry, Dean.
Yeah, through the chair, and I didn't want to interrupt Ed, but I'm just conferring with some of my colleagues in the background. We don't believe that we have got capacity to progress a feasibility study and business case in order to inform the LTP. The timings are too tight. This is just an initial assessment, but we're signalling that the timings are too tight.
So if I can ask you, Mr. Allen, does that actually, what you're suggesting is that's an internal situation? Are we able to go outside to a third party?
Yes, so we could potentially commission the feasibility study. Once we've had a look and seen what budget we could potentially find from those parties that were mentioned earlier by Lorna White. But even the likelihood of a feasibility study being completed in time to inform the LTP, we're just not able to guarantee that. But certainly not a feasibility study and a business case. So again, these could be OPEX components that are woven into the LTP to say, you know, the LTP in year one do this part, the LTP in year one do this part.
So is anybody just able to explain to me how we could get this thing moving forward?
Through the chair, good question.
Well, I come from a school that says, tell me how we can do it, not why we can't do it. So without being rude.
Through the chair, I think if you ask staff to investigate options, then we'll be able to come back with the detail around what we can do and when. And it may be that we can do the feasibility study this year ahead of putting a business case into year one of the LTP. It might be that we recommend that in year one of the LTP, we put an OPEX for the business case, and in year two, we put an OPEX for the, OPEX in year one for the feasibility study, OPEX in year two for the business case.
So are you comfortable with that the request the chief executive director becomes 4? Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I'm comfortable that we request the chief executive to look into the options. I'm just unsure whether we're setting an unrealistic expectation that we might be able to deliver it within this financial year. So maybe we should, you could reword it to say that the board strongly advocates for this being given priority or expedience or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Councillor Rodley.
So Dean, just wanted to check with you. So the investigate funding options, are you talking about district versus local versus some external? I'm getting nods from Lorna.
So look, Lord, you want to comment, please?
Yeah, and I'm mindful that Councillor Rebels had his hand up before me, but just clarifying, yes, what we would do from an ED perspective is look at because in the economic development budget there is allocation for feasibility studies to support economic development activities. So it would just be looking at how much there is there, how much from the trust that are looking to develop this project have got to co-contribute, and then if the board has got any funds at all, and then if there's any other external funds that we might be able to source for a feasibility. So that's what we're saying. And if we can, and if we've got the right person who can do the work and the feasibility can get started in this financial year, well, then that can progress. But I think Dean's just trying to say that doing a feasibility in a business case in one financial year is just not going to happen. It's unrealistic.
We've only got feasibility in the motion.
Yeah, great.
And I think we could live with them being in separate years.
Yeah.
Provided the feasibility was done in the 23-24.
So I got Councillor Rebel there.
Oh, sorry.
He just wants to endorse what you're saying.
No, I guess I'm wanting to ask just for clarity. Feasibility study for the Kauaeranga River Trail project. Is that from Parawai to the dock centre?
Yes.
We'd like to say yes.
Okay.
We want to move this thing forward. Seriously, want to move it forward. We don't want known as a board to let the grass grow underneath their feet.
Okay. And so thank you for that clarity. And so that's all our collective understanding now. The second thing is, so we've advised that a feasibility study and a business case can't be done in the same year, but I think we need to be requesting that a business case for the entire project be done as well. And if that, I guess if that has to be in the 24-25 year, then has to be in the 24-25 year. But
I hear you loud and clear, Councillor Rebel. Right, it looks like we've got to take baby steps first to get going. Councillor,
can I just ask a clarification from your statement, Peter? Is your main reason for suggesting that the business case should be for the entire length of the Kauaeranga Valley? Is that done? Are you thinking that because there may be more access to external funding for something that's bigger? You know, it's like that regional, sub-regional aquatic centre argument thought. Is that correct?
Well, that's part of it, but part of it, that's what the vision is. You know, that's what's so exciting about this is you know, it's something that kind of is almost like a great walk. You know, this fantastic cycle way up the valley. You know, all the way up the valley. So it's as somebody said, the economic benefit of that, but the social impact. You know, when we're talking about in our spatial plan, where is there going to be housing development of the Kauaeranga Valley? It's way past the swing bridge. It's up, you know, opposite the Christian Centre and in that area. So, you know, if we're going to be creating something that's going to help the people that are going to be living in that area, you know, we're taking up the whole valley, you know.
Thank you very much, Councillor Rebel.
So, Chair, can we ask please, Jenna, from Parawai to?
You want to reduce it?
We only have jurisdiction to the end of the road, but to the Leslie Road. We can't really control the dock.
In through the chair, I think what the thing is, we want to record that as a council or as a community board that you're looking at not only the area that the council's got control over, but also all the way up to the dock as well, as part of that feasibility study.
That's what you're saying.
But actually putting it in writing in the resolution.
So because we've had the River Trail present to us as part of the annual plan, and we've got that on record because we've most definitely accepted are we able to just reference that to say instead of from Parawai to wherever we say as presented during the annual plan, whatever it was it the LTV long-term plan? There were so many plans. Or is it just cleaner to say the entire project? Because that's really all we've got, isn't it?
I think through the chair for staff, so staff often look at resolutions years later.
Yes.
It's
You don't want to be.
us.
Yeah.
They have it clear.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
So we need clarification so it goes up there forward.
So it's from Parawai to the dock visitor centre.
Yeah.
So that's what the feasibility study is. Okay.
And I hear what you're saying, I loud and clear, and everybody else can talk to them, probably we may hear this later. There's always intention to start from Grahamstown and go up there, but anyway, if you want to go up to Parawai, that's fine. The rest I can just right.
One thing at a
street. Take it on the street, fine, electric bikes. Okay, so bang, we're going to do this because my sugar levels are dropping. And lunch is out there. Think about it.
We
I
might.
know we haven't.
That's my one thing.
We need to do this.
No, not when I'm running the meeting.
Okay,
Right.
I'm happy to move resolution.
Yep.
Is it
Right.
number 4 now?
Councillor Singh there. We're moving. Second by board member Rightway. Is there any, I'm just going to read it out because it's fresh off the block. Right, request the chief executive direct staff to investigate the funding options to progress feasibility study for the Kauaeranga River Trail project from Parawai to the Department of Conservation Business Centre in the 23-24 financial year. Please don't tell me you want to make any amendments.
Chair, does that need to be removed and seconded, or is that still standing from?
We just did it a second ago.
Oh, did you? Was I?
Up there.
No, you didn't.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm getting the real thing now. Right, all those in favour,
Aye.
please say aye.
Aye.
Peter? Oh, yeah, you.
I said aye.
I never read him in this discussion, that's not good. All those against? Right, I propose to adjourn the meeting and have lunch, come back in 30 minutes' time. And if I could possibly, we'll probably listen to Mr. Courtney first. And
Oh, you need first after lunch.
yeah, first after lunch. Yeah, sorry, first after lunch, and then we may not come back to 2.1 ever again. Anyway, and we invite
What's her name? What's her surname?
Yeah, Darren, slidey bar at the bottom of the document.
You got her in the phone? Robin?
Oh, yeah, do you want me?
Yeah, that little one there.
Just text her and tell her that's been changed of plan.
Oh, nice. Perfect. Okay.
Yeah, that's much better.
Submission. So you did fine.
Can you get back into it now?
Yeah, just now they've just raised a little matter about two people from public forum.
I'm just texting Debbie now.
No, just, the motions, the last motions on the thing are just going to be put now.
Constantly. One day.
Which are discussion.
There you go.
Okay.
Did Peter come back?
Oh, they're on their way. Debbie and Jack's are on their way.
I think he is. Okay. What are development considerations?
Right, development considerations, the entire area up the river valley has potential for development.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it might be possible as some of that actually save the developers put 10 grand in our bank
That's good.
in the future.
Kind of sweet.
I am.
It may also be a case that as part of the development, we actually
There's a gap.
get them as widen up the existing road, or straighten the corners, make it safe. We do that anyway.
Yeah, that would be that. Have you clarified, Martin? Yeah. So we can move straight in. Does that bill come back?
Seems like. On our way, she says. And Dean has just sent us an email.
Yeah.
Hey. Everybody happy with the elections on the 14th?
Happy as a
Happy to be able to put one of the youngest members in 160 years in the parliament.
Oh, yes. Well,
Have we started the meeting yet?
No, not really, because we had some people in public forum in relation to this feasibility study, and we thought because we actually said we were going to have bring Courtney first and then finish it off later, we've decided to bring all the little motions together and do them in one, and we can do it very quickly. So we feel that we should be obligated to wait for those two people from public forum to come back.
Yep.
Half an hour happened to that. Be a minute meeting.
Why would that be called?
106. I yes, told my colleague what's it for the just no, it's presentation. Yes. So that means what time? 2 minutes now. Run.
It's about the email. I thought I'd take back. Ah, here we go.
Right in the front.
The two ladies have gone to the little girls' room.
Oh, right.
We actually call it the power room.
Oh,
Power? The power room.
well, well,
Hey,
hang on.
can I just, through the chair, am I able to just explain my email quickly?
We are still recording.
Explain.
We are still recording, so just bear in mind that.
Sorry, I missed what you said.
Feel like
I'm
this
just-
thing now.
I just sent an email and I wanted to, just through the chair, if I'm able to explain it.
Oh, is it a criticism of the chair or?
No, no, it's
You
very
have to go.
constructive.
There you go. Just read.
And I think he's talking about those areas.
Yeah, yeah.
Priorities and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the multi-criteria decision and assessment.
Here we are.
Okay.
Oh, what do you now?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do this.
So, you can explain it. Half a second, please, Mr. Allen, and we'll just wait for the comms lady to come back.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just,
Sorry.
yeah, what the email says is there was some conversations earlier about how the project is scored in what the councillors have looked at to date. So the councillors have only looked at the CapEx program so far, and so each project has been assessed against its prioritisation and its deliverability, but that's the deliverability of the CapEx, the actual building of it. And so that's the reason why it hasn't scored as well as some of the other projects, because some of the elements such as the design, the land acquisition, and some of the detailed constraints are still not known. When we get to the stage of assessing the OPEX components, which are the feasibility and business cases, then they will be scored against different criteria, and it's likely that because of the high community priority, they'll score well. So it's just that it wasn't construction ready.
Thank you very much. Right. There's a meeting back in order, 107. So up in front of you, you have a motion. Now we've done a little bit of exercise on motions while everybody's been having lunch. So we've got, I'd like to move 5, 6, and 7. It's one. Which one? Yeah. So again.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Right, go back there. So we start off at
This one, 5.
5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. But I prefer to move that to the Thames Community Board. And you read the rest yourself. Somebody care to move those in a block, please? Moved by Deputy Chair Johnson. Do we have a seconder, please? Member Rakwa. Any discussion on those there, please? Do you have any questions? Don't ask me. Do you have any questions or any constructive comments? Okay, there being none. Oh, is Councillor Rebel back on? I think I saw him there.
Okay.
Want everybody to be happy, or maybe we should have more.
There it is.
I had been disabled. My microphone and camera had been disabled.
On the camera, looking at your leg. No, that's fine. So, did you have get a chance to read the motions, Councillor Rebel?
Yes, I did. Yep.
And it was being moved by members Johnson and Rakwa. And I propose to put those motions. All in favour, please say aye. I'm not going to read them through. Aye. Those against? Declared carried. Thank you. And that, well, we don't know what they are. Oh, look, you said aye. Basically, we had a feasibility study going forward and how we're going to raise the money for a feasibility study and to get the ball on, and then at a later stage, we will, spend part, stage 2 as a business case. And we've been informed that that's the way we have to do it. So